Keeping venomous reptiles is an unforgiving hobby, requiring proper training and lots of experience. One simple mistake can be the difference between life and death. Remember, the most venomous snake in the world is the one that just bit you. There are no venomous snakes with training wheels. Just because you see viperkeeper handle snakes a certain way does not mean you should try it too.
Hello everybody, viperkeeper here. Normally I don't do intros to the videos per se. However, this time I believe it's in order, just to let you know what's ahead for the next 4 episodes on the Viperkeeper YouTube channel. In September I went to Brisbane, Australia, and as you know by the first video I put out, there wasn't a whole lot of snake or lizards to be found. Fortunately, I've got some good friends, mates in Australia, whom I was able to visit and see their vast collection of venomous snakes. That would be my longtime mate Scott Epper and his wonderful wife Ty invited me to their home for a few things on the Barbie, as well as some very nice discussions about their collection and animals. For those of you who don't know Scott, he's, in my opinion, a legend in Australia in venomous husbandry, as well as research into species diversity in Australia. He published this very nice book a few years back. I'll do a close-up for you so you can see it. If you're interested in Australian snake husbandry, if you're fortunate enough to have some snakes from Australia, this is the guide that you need to obtain. So, we're going to start off with part 1. These are rather lengthy videos. There's, you know, a lot of discussion involved. There's lots of images of wacky Australian elapids not cooperating. There's a whole video on the variety of death adders, which were truly amazing, and the genus Acanthopus, which encompassed the death adders, is not yet fully resolved. There's a lot of discussions and disagreements on species and where they fall in the big scheme of things. So without any further comment,
so they take a while to get on the mice. They're pains in the bum.
Hi. Yeah, you don't like that. It's scary, huh?
Yeah, calm down a second. Very visual.
Yeah, as I find, most elapids are visual snakes rather than you know, go by scent or other things. Scent certainly works if they're foraging, but very visual snakes.
Oh, sit still.
Yeah, beauty. There we go. Hello there. Hello there. Classic defensive posture there. I moved a little too quick for her. Beautiful little snakes. Oop.
So you notice that the red's quite bright on the sides, but when you look underneath, see how it's sort of, it's lighter in the centre.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as not as red, particularly as they get older. The amount of black on the nose too varies with various localities as well. So the southern ones don't usually have any black on the face, whereas the ones in Sydney and up into from sort of Sydney north start to get lighter markings, and then some of the ones in far north Queensland, almost the whole head can be quite pale. It's just clinal variation in them. It's not that they're different species or anything like that.
All right. Northern Territory sort of region.
They're only found in Queensland, but they're found in Western Queensland. So out on the Mitchell grass plain, black soil plains, and they live down in the soil cracks. Quite rare in the wild. You talk to most snake people that are herpers over here, most of them haven't found them. I've spent a lot of time out in the black soil country, out doing snake training and things like that, teaching people how to work with venomous snakes. And in all of the years I've been out there, I've only ever seen one live one. I've seen 3 road kills. So they're pretty uncommon. It's not to say that they're rare or anything like that. It's more the fact that they just live underground for the most part. So they're very hard to actually get onto.
To locate. So they live a sort of a semi-fossorial life?
Oh yeah, very much so. So, I mean, out there it's 40. Most days are in the low 40s, 40 degrees Celsius, and so it's way too hot for these animals to be out and about during the day. So they tend to only come out onto the surface at night, and then usually only after rain as well. So they hunt obviously rodents and other snakes and lizards and frogs down in the black soil cracks. So they spend a lot of their time underground. Now, one of those other black soil specialists from further south in Queensland is the inland taipans. So you get those on the black soil plains, as well as the some of the gibbet deserts and stuff like that as well.
Very nice. I've seen pictures of a whole wide variety of patterns and colorations and such for the Mulga snakes from all over Australia. They're a pretty widespread animal, both coasts.
They're not found. That's ready.
Little freshy.
Don't you do that? Go to a different hole.
Very beautiful animal. Hello. No, I'm not coming that close to you. Don't worry about it.
So the problem with these guys is that they always think, because they're sitting in here in a room full of other snakes, any other snake specialist, snake feeding specialist, don't do that, they end up getting a bit foody and a bit jumpy, and you can sort of see how jumpy he is at the moment.
Right, because
he's sitting there going, I suppose it's a bit like your king cobra, you know, sitting there going, oh well, I can get fed.
yeah, there's plenty of feed in here for this snake.
Yeah.
Even when you don't want feed to be around. So yeah, they're a bit jumpy. I noticed you went for a smaller hook in length.
It's a stronger hook though, and it doesn't get in my way. So,
but that's a real live wire. Like most Australian snakes.
I'm more worried, I don't know if you can see that, he's got my wrist wrapped there.
Yes.
And so, a bit like some of your cobras, you've got to be a bit careful when they do that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Certain parts of my body really puckers when those tails get wrapped around my wrist, especially the mambas, because you can't unload them if you want to then. All right, well, I think that's enough of this guy. He's a little bit too hyper to work with. Hello. Yeah. That is Pseudacus australis.
Yes, the
Mulga
Pseudacus
snake.
australis, the Mulga snake. Or the king brown snake.
King brown.
Out of that. Come on.
Now this guy's a legend. I've seen pictures of this guy before. Look at the head on that sucker. That is one very large coastal taipan. Maybe not for length, but for the size of his head. Holy cow. Now coastals are a little bit further north than where we are in Brisbane.
Right on the edge of the range of them here, so they do get down as far as this, but they're extremely rare down here. Settle down.
Hello there.
She'd pack a fair wallop.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, and you know, taipans can go from this mode to ballistic mode in a heartbeat, like most of the other venomous snakes. Fortunately,
I'm not going to push it too much with this.
No, absolutely
We
not.
just hurt gently, so but they're quite a bit different to your papillons. You guys are a bit more used to dealing with, I suppose.
And you said that these guys can go from this color to a charcoal gray to an even lighter yellowish.
Yeah, you can get really light ones, but I'll pull out one that's almost black in the middle as well. So this one's originally from probably Cooktown.
Okay.
All right, come here, you.
Okay, so just because I couldn't put my hand next to this big guy, that head is as long as my index finger on that taipan. You know, when it was on the table, obviously I'm not going to put my hand next to it for a size reference, but this is another female coastal, which the head is sort of about the size of my female Papuan. You know, very alert, very visually oriented snakes. You don't want to move very fast around them because that can easily set them off.
So these get darker. This particular locality gets much darker as it gets older. So this is a 2-year-old animal, and it's already probably got twice as dark as what it was when it was born. These end up being sort of coal black as they get bigger. So then the male is a little bit larger. Just going to be back now. The male's a little bit larger, and he's already a significantly darker than the female.
I really like your dual locking system on those cages.
It's these ones, when they came out, they originally had sliding glass tracks in them, and so the tracks usually sat there, and so I've removed those tracks and then made a frame up out of aluminium and then perspex. Obviously, one of the things we do is we use a hook to close and open the doors, especially some of these things that move fairly quickly. They can cover this 3-foot distance very, very quickly. So,
for sure.
But what I do like is that you can then basically use the hook then to open the cage.
Yeah, that's my dislike about the sliding glasses. There's really, you need sort of a special tool to make the glass slide, and with a lot of the snakes, you don't want to put your hands on the glass to open and close it, because it is a opportunity for a trip to the hospital.
Well, you can see just how much sort of jumpier this particular snake is over the one we had over before. So.
Yeah.
Rather than making a mistake, I don't want to add to your blooper reel.
Nope.
So, if you're a funny snake, they explode. They go from sort of sitting there doing, hang on, I'll turn them around for you. They sit there from going from sort of doing nothing to going whack, 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 whack. And anything that head touches, they bite.
Oh, well, that's
But they're probably a species complex as well. The ones from far north western Queensland get much larger than the ones in New South Wales and Victoria. Again, they're an arid specialist. But they'll eat frogs, lizards, rodents. I photographed one of these guys eating a roadkill dragon.
wow.
And it was active on a really cold night. It was about 16 degrees, I think it was, and this thing was sitting in the middle of a dirt track trying to eat a small long-nosed water dragon. One thing that's unusual about these guys compared to just about all the other Australian elapids is that they've got, see what I mean about that?
Well, you were right. They do explode.
Sort of go from nothing to, and you feel the whole body gets taunt, and then they just go bang.
Yep. So this, now, in case we didn't catch this is a curl snake.
Curl snake, yep.
Suda.
So these are probably one of the more poorly known of our dangerous species of snakes. There's been a couple of bites that have required antivenom. They are smaller, and because they're smaller, most people thought they weren't that bad. They've sort of since found, the research predominantly by Brian, that they do have quite a toxic venom to them as well.
And you would use tiger snake antivenom?
I think you use polyvalent.
Okay, so you hit it with broad spectrum.
Yeah, so.
Well, I'll ask Brian when I see him. What would hit, knowing what he knows about the venom, what would be the first choice of the antivenom for it?
Yeah, I'd say polyvalent from memory. I can check that. I'm pretty sure it's poly is the first one, but there would be likely there'd be some cross reactivity between it and tiger snake antivenom as well. So.
Well, I just say that because tiger snake is as close to a universal as you can sort of get.
Well, I suppose that's what we were talking about before with regards to venoms having such a wide variety over here. That happens to be one of the ones that does it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I have
by all means, mate.
I have a real soft spot for deathies.
Yeah. Anything you want to take photos of, we can do that too.
And since I can shoot this at a reasonably safe distance,
What do you want the snake to do?
oh well, that's just fine. Their heads are so dragon-like. I really like that. Well, see, now I got him moving. He was sitting perfectly, and yeah. So there's a thing that I have with Bothrops is, you can pick them up and you can sort of touch them once, but don't touch them the second time because that's when they'll detonate.
These aren't too bad. They just sort of stop.
I've yet to see.
No memento.
I've yet to see one of these in the wild.
We tried the other night. We just didn't succeed.
Yeah, and when I was in, when I visited Sydney a few years back in 2005, unfortunately I saw a roadkill, and that was it. But I did see lots of other Australian species on that trip. And my mates in the UK use a hat for this field.
Well, I've got, as you see there, I've got a whole swag of different stuff up there for this.
Yeah, I guess the darkness in the hat makes them sort of reset.
You know what? It's funny. I find that the darkness doesn't actually work that well.
Huh.
I actually prefer this because I can actually move what I want to move around to get my photos.
Huh.
So, where do you want the sun? You ready to go?
Yeah.
Do you want me to hold the light over the top of it?
Oh, that's perfect.
Just very in a hand. There we go. So is that better?
That's also quite nice.
Want the head
Beauty.
turned around, or are you happy with
No,
that?
that's good. Plenty.
I'll hand you that.
Thank you.
So the one thing I actually really like about this room, this table, is you can do so much on it. And you know what I mean? You know how you need something to work? And when we built this room, it was built, I've been keeping snakes for 22 years when we built this room. And so what I wanted is I wanted a couple of things. We've all dealt with having animals get out of enclosures because we've left the door open or whatever. So the whole idea of this building was set up so that if we leave a door open, the snakes can't go anywhere because the cages are literally built into the walls. So there's no way a snake can actually get behind something while we've got glass on the door when you walk in, or we've got that vacuum door. So we've literally every animal is behind 3 snake-proof doors.
And that's the ideal that the AZA puts forward in the U.S. You need at least 3 barriers to keep the snake properly controlled, let's say.
Definitely. And so we've got obviously the first door to the building, which is a solid door that has got seals all the way around it. Then the doors into the 2 rooms, so obviously our quarantine room and the main room that we're in now, they've got glass on those doors, so we can do a visual inspection before we even open into the room. Now we keep a set of tools on the outside of that door, so before we go into the room, we happen to go, oh, shit, we've left an enclosure open. We can go in there fully kitted out with what we need to make that animal, secure that animal and make sure it's safe. We have a sink in here, obviously. Now, a double bowl sink. I'll show you a little bit later on. We've actually got a way of proving that the animal can't get through the holes in the sink. Every hole that's in this building, because I built this building myself, I've sealed with silicone sealant, as well as plastic seals, etc., etc., etc. So there is literally no way an animal can get out of here without me knowing about it in the first place. One of the other things that I wanted is I needed somewhere to be able to work the animals. And so this big table in front of us here allows me to get out. We can take photos, I can do measurements, I can medicate animals, I can do all the things that I need to do when I'm in here working with the animals. We've got a trolley in here that it runs around with me. It's got a flat area that we can pin on. It's got all of the different chemicals that I use when I'm cleaning, so disinfectants. I've got sterilised water in there as well, glass cleaners, rags, plastic bags, all those things that you sort of want, that you need when you're servicing each enclosure, spray bottles, they're all sitting there already on the cart. I hang a garbage bag off it, and so as I'm going around and cleaning, everything goes thing, and it makes life so much easier. Last thing you want to be doing is walking from one side of the room to another to put something in the bin.
Boy, don't I know it. I certainly don't have an ideal situation because I don't own this place that I'm living in, and I can't do these sort of mods. But before I moved any snakes in, I went around and I sealed absolutely every little crevice.
Yep.
And because I couldn't build a sort of a trap room, that ante-room that you talked about looking through the window here, I have web cameras in the room that I can check before I go upstairs.
Yeah, fantastic.
So you try to adapt to the situation, but yeah, I've had snakes get out because I've left doors open and stuff, but no one has escaped the room. And as you know, I allow the king cobra out to roam around the room, and generally speaking, he's pretty easy to get back in his cage. All I have to do is get a rat, and I can lead him back to the cage like St. Patrick led the snakes out of Ireland. But yeah, he's an okay bloke, but he's a special case. He's the only one now that really has the ability to go out in the room. A couple of my mambas, the green mamba and the Jameson mambas, I can bring out also, and they're relatively easygoing. They stay where I put them, and they're easy to get back in, and that's the criteria. So,
now, I suppose from our point of view, we wanted to make sure that we had a building that was purposely built for keeping venomous snakes, and there's two reasons for that. Obviously, we've got a business that we use to teach people how to work with venomous snakes, but then on top of that as well, we do educational wildlife demonstrations and stuff like that as well. So we want to make sure that we're giving our animals the best that they can have, and we also want to make sure that the facilities that we're providing these animals is the top of the line as well. Last thing that we want is to become another number where somebody has allowed a snake to escape, or there's been a bite or anything like that. So we're very careful with the way that we manage our animals. We have snake bite protocols on the wall. We have bandages that we use in the case of a bite. Our first aid over here is obviously a little bit different to yourselves, where you guys have got such a multiple array of different snakes and different systems for cleaning, for treating bites. Whereas over here we're mainly using a pressure immobilisation bandage, and then going to our hospital. Now, some of the hospitals around here don't carry the antivenoms that we require, and so as part of my protocols, I've gone through and I've checked with the various hospitals that are in southeast Queensland where I am, and so I know to go to Hospital X if it's a bite from a taipan, or Hospital Y if it's a bite from a tiger snake or something like that as well. So a little bit of prior preparation, as they say, is extremely important.
oh, absolutely. I know from personal experience that it certainly smooths the way. My wife knows exactly how to proceed because we have it all planned out. And time is tissue, and that's what you have to keep in mind. So let's look at another deathy.
Yeah, mate. All right. So what we'll pull out now is we'll pull out a hawkeye. The Barkley Tableland Death Adders, or hawkeye, they were originally thought to be part of Antarcticus. They were described in 1985. Now, when they were described in 1985, the person that described them, he described a whole swag of different Australian species, and some of them have been accepted through subsequent research, whereas a whole number haven't been as well. So there's been a bit of dubious understanding about the taxonomy of death adders. So this happens to be a Barkley tableland death adder, Acanthopus hawkeye. There's another animal referred to as the floodplain death adder, which is from the northern part of the Northern Territory, and they're also Acanthopus hawkeye as well. This particular animal's a male. It's a 12-year-old male, this animal here. Quite a beautiful snake. But they do get much larger than this. And a large death adder is an impressive death adder. So I'll pull out one of the large ones in a second. These are by far the largest of all the death adders. They can get up to 1.1 metres in length. I don't have any quite that size, but I'll pull out a large female now. That one can stay there for a minute.
Wow, it's certainly a very stunning animal. And this is sort of a natural phase for this species?
Yeah, that's a perfectly natural coloration for that animal.
Amazing.
Now that death adder there in front of you is about 65 centimetres long. This one's just on 90 centimetres long. And you can see that it's quite a bit larger.
Wow, yeah. And that's a female, right?
That's a big female, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. She's certainly one of the biggest death adders I've seen. I have a large female lavis from Papua New Guinea, from an area of the island where they're known for these very, very large deathies, and certainly this one is perhaps even a little bit bigger. Amazing.
So she's quite a large snake, this one. And so this male is the male that we put in, but we're always worried about and you actually see that there quite well. You're right, as soon as you move their tail. Just trying to show you the difference. You can see how thick that tail is there on the male, whereas how skinny it is on the female.
Yeah, exactly. Very good comparison. I think most people can see there's a difference in morphology of the tails, and that's how we tell boys from girls.
So we were talking before about Antarctica's having how they're quite smooth in scales. You can see how keeled the scales are here on the hawkeye as well. It's really quite pronounced. They do look calm, but every now and then they just sort of go bang and explode. So
yes, I know that's why I'm sort of keeping a little bit of a distance, because
the way I've always described it is the length of the body of the snake, in particular case of death adders, is basically the length that they can seem to defy physics, as you so correctly put before.
Yeah, they can do some amazing things sometimes when you least expect it. Hi there, big girl. How you doing? Huh? How you doing?
She's a beautiful snake, that one. So we've got some babies off these guys as well. I'll get a photo.
Get a photo. Okay, sorry folks, got a little distracted and we went out of frame.
You good, Al?
That's good.
What I'll do is I'll pull out one of our holdbacks and the babies from this year, because the babies are absolutely stunning.